Now, when the gunman started shooting, it was 6 minutes of terror. On Bondi Beach in Sydney, Australia. It was December 14th, the first day of Hanukkah, and that's why the gunman targeted Bondi Beach. The area has a large Jewish population, with 1 out of 8 residents identifying as Jewish. Australia has the highest per capita number of Holocaust survivors, or descendants of Holocaust survivors, outside of Israel. So, it was a day of tragedy. Now, with echoes of the October 7th massacre in Israel, but a world away, in a nation where an increasingly radicalized pro-Palestine faction has emerged, targeting Jewish businesses with graffiti and subjecting people to anti-Semitic hate. Now, when it was over, 15 innocent people were dead, including children. More than 40 were injured. One of the gunmen was shot and killed by police. Now, even before the shooting began, the 2 gunmen were confronted by a heroic couple in their 60s, Boris and Sophia Gurman. Boris wrestled a gun away from one of the terrorists, but I've viewed footage of the carnage, and it seems there were at least 3 guns. Boris and Sophia lost their lives. The terrorists were a father and son, Sajid Akram, age 50, and Naveed Akram, age 24. Sajid is a Muslim from India who was educated in India and came to Australia looking for work in 1998, although he was on a student visa. Now, he changed to a partner visa after marrying an Australian woman. Naveed was born in Australia. Now, to carry out the attack, they went on a footbridge overlooking a park behind the beach. In the park, hundreds of people were gathered for a Hanukkah celebration. Now, when he was just 17, Naveed tried to convert people to Islam on the streets of Sydney. He had caught the attention of police, who investigated him for ties to an ISIS cell, but the investigation was dropped. Now, at age 18, he began an apprenticeship as a bricklayer and worked very hard, apparently. He kept to himself, though, which is unusual because it's mind-numbing work, and everyone else is very chatty with each other. Now, recently, he told his bosses he'd broken his wrist while boxing and couldn't work for the rest of the year. He then asked for his annual leave and other benefits to be paid out. His parents had separated, and he had grown closer to his father and to his religion as a result. Now, the 2 of them traveled to the Philippines in November and stayed for a month. It had been reported, but is now disputed, that they underwent military-style training in the city of Davao, where Islamist militants operate in the impoverished neighborhoods. But the Philippine president now disputes that they received military-style training there. Local police and hotel staff say they spent nearly the entire visit in their hotel room, venturing out for about an hour a day and receiving no visitors. The Philippine president also disputes that the country is an ISIS training hotspot. Now, on the day of the attack, the terrorists drove to Bondi Beach in the son's car, where police later found homemade ISIS flags and improvised explosive devices. Now, it's believed they were inspired by the ISIS terrorist attack last weekend in Syria that killed 2 U.S. service members and a civilian interpreter. The service members were Sergeant Edgar Brian Torres Tovar, age 25, of Des Moines, and Sergeant William Nathaniel Howard, age 29, of Marshalltown, both members of the Iowa National Guard. The civilian interpreter hasn't been identified. 3 other guardsmen were wounded. Now, President Trump vowed retaliation against ISIS, and Secretary of War Hegseth issued a warning to those who would seek to harm Americans. Okay, Sajid, the father, descends the footbridge at this point, and we see him there. Let me advance the video. His son continues shooting. There he is. He's descended the footbridge, and these are civilians taking cover. Now let's go to this point. Let me stop the video here. A man, Ahmed al-Ahmed, comes up behind Sajid and disarms him. President Trump called this man a hero for his actions. Let's watch. Okay, he's a fruit seller and Australian citizen with no weapons training or experience. He's just a big guy like Sajid and saved many lives that day by disarming the gunman. The hero, who's originally from Syria, was shot twice in the arm and survived. Now at this point, Sajid goes back up to the footbridge, grabs the third rifle, and continues shooting. Let's go to that. Okay, but by this time the police get a clear shot at Sajid and he's killed. Now at this point, Naveed, he seems to lose heart and he surrenders. There's a scuffle as civilians go up to the footbridge and they try to secure the terrorist so he doesn't get away. Now, Naveed was charged with 59 counts, including 15 counts of murder as well as terrorism, wounding with intent to murder, public display of a prohibited terrorist symbol, and placing an explosive in or near a building. He was in a coma but regained consciousness and appeared virtually for a court hearing from his hospital bed. Now, Israeli Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu blamed Australia's decision to recognize a Palestinian state as contributing to the Bondi Beach slaughter. According to Australia's own special envoy, Gillian Segal, she was appointed last year after attacks on Jewish businesses and synagogues. The writing has been on the wall and didn't come without warning. Now, Bibi Netanyahu has deemed recognition of a Palestinian state to be a reward for terrorism and has said a Palestinian state would become a base from which to launch attacks against Israel. And that's a certainty, okay? They've been actively trying to wipe Israel off the map for decades. But God's word is the final word on these matters. He said, He'll never leave us nor forsake us. 15 people lost their lives, but hundreds were saved. Now let's choose to believe God. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, leave a like and don't forget to subscribe.